Eddard.
Pain is a gift from the gods, Lord Eddard, Grand Maester Pycelle told him. It means the bone is knitting, the flesh healing itself. Be thankful.
I will be thankful when my leg stops throbbing. Pycelle set a stoppered flask on the table by the bed.
The milk of the poppy, for when the pain grows too onerous.
I sleep too much already.
Sleep is the great healer.
I had hoped that was you. Pycelle smiled wanly.
It is good to see you in such a fierce humour, my lord.
He leaned close and lowered his voice.
There was a raven this morning, a letter for the Queen from her Lord Father. I thought you had best know.
Dark wings, dark words, Ned said grimly. What of this?
Lord Tywin is greatly wroth about the men you sent after Sir Gregor Clegane, the Maester confided. I feared he would be. You will recall I said as much in council.
Let him be wroth, Ned said. Every time his leg throbbed, he remembered Jaime Lannister's smile and Jory dead in his arms. Let him write all the letters to the Queen he likes. Lord Beric rides beneath the King's own banner. If Lord Tywin attempts to interfere with the King's justice, he will have Robert to answer to. The only thing his Grace enjoys more than hunting is making war on lords who defy him. Pycelle pulled back, his maester's chain jangling.
As you say, I shall visit again upon the morrow.
The old man hurriedly gathered up his things and took his leave. Ned had little doubt that he was bound straight for the royal apartments to whisper at the Queen. I thought you had best know. Indeed. As if Cersei had not instructed him to pass along her father's threats. He hoped his response rattled those perfect teeth of hers. Ned was not near as confident of Robert as he pretended, but there was no reason Cersei need know that. When Pycelle was gone, Ned called for a cup of honeyed wine. That clouded the mind as well, yet not as badly. He needed to be able to think. 1,000 times he asked himself what Jon Arryn might have done, had he lived long enough to act on what he'd learned. Or perhaps he had acted, and died for it. It was queer how sometimes a child's innocent eyes could see things grown men are blind to. Some day, when Sansa was grown, he would have to tell her how she made it all come clear to him. He's not the least bit like that old drunken king, she declared, angry and unknowing, and the simple truth of it had twisted inside him cold as death. This was the sword that had killed Jon Arryn, Ned thought then, and it will kill Robert as well, a slower death but full as certain. Shattered legs may heal in time, but some betrayals fester and poison the soul. Littlefinger had come calling an hour after the Grand Maester had left, clad in a plum-coloured doublet with a mockingbird embroidered on the breast in black thread, with a striped cloak of black and white. "I cannot visit long, my lord," he announced. "Lady Tander expects me to lunch with her. No doubt she will roast me a fatted calf. If it's near as fatted as her daughter, I'd like to rupture and die. And how is your leg?" "Inflamed and painful, with an itch that is driving me mad." Littlefinger raised an eyebrow. "In future, try not to let any horses fall on it. I would urge you to heal quickly. The realm grows restive. Varys has heard ominous whispers from the west. Free riders and sellswords have been flocking to Casterly Rock, and not for the thin pleasure of Lord Tywin's conversation." "Is there word of the king?" Ned demanded. "Just how long does Robert intend to hunt?" "Given his preferences, I'd believe he'd stay in the forest until you and the Queen both die of old age," Lord Peter replied with a faint smile. "Lacking that, I imagine he'll return as soon as he's killed something. They found the White Hart, it seems, or rather, what remained of it. Some wolves found it first and left his grace scarcely more than a hoof and a horn. Robert was in a fury, and he heard talk of some monstrous boar deeper in the forest. Then nothing would do but he must have it. Prince Joffrey returned this morning with the Royces, Sir Balon Swan, and some 20 others of the party. The rest are still with the king." "The Hound?" Ned asked, frowning. Of all the Lannister party, Sandor Clegane was the one who concerned him the most, now that Sir Jaime had fled the city to join his father.
returned with Joffrey and went straight to the Queen. Littlefinger smiled. I would have given 100 silver stags to have been a roach in the rushes when he learned what Lord Beric was off to behead his brother.
Even a blind man could see the hound loathed his brother.
Ah, but Sir Gregor was his to loathe, not yours to kill. Once Dondarrion lops the summit off your mountain, the Clegane lands and homes will pass to Sandor. But I wouldn't hold my water waiting for his thanks. Not that one. And now you must forgive me. Lady Tandor awaits with her fatted calves.
On the way to the door, Lord Peter spied Grand Maester Mallion's massive tome on the table and paused to idly flip open the cover.
The lineages and histories of the great houses of the 7 kingdoms, with descriptions of the many high lords and noble ladies and their children, he read. Now there's tedious reading if I ever saw it. A sleeping potion, my lord?
For a brief moment Ned considered telling him all of it, but there was something in Littlefinger's japes that irked him. The man was too clever by half, a mocking smile never far from his lips. John Aaron was studying this volume when he was taken sick, Ned said in a careful tone to see how he might respond. And he responded as he always did, with a quip.
In that case, he said, death must have come as a blessed relief.
Lord Peter Baelish bowed and took his leave. Eddard Stark allowed himself a curse. Aside from his own retainers, there was scarcely a man in the city he trusted. Littlefinger had concealed Catelyn and helped Ned in his inquiries, yet his haste to save his own skin when Jaime and his swords had come out full in the rain had rankled. Varys was worse. For all his protestations of loyalty, the eunuch knew too much and did too little. Grand Maester Pycelle seemed to be more Cersei's creature with every passing day, and Sir Barristan was an old man and rigid. He would tell Ned to do his duty. Time was perilously short. The king would return from his hunt soon, and honour would require Ned to go to him with all he'd learned. Phaon Poole had arranged for Sansa and Arya to sail on the Wind Witch out of Braavos 3 days hence. They would be back at Winterfell before the harvest. Ned could no longer see his concern for their safety to excuse his delay. Yet last night he'd dreamt of Rhaegar's children. Lord Tywin had lain the bodies beneath the Iron Throne, wrapped in the crimson cloaks of his house guard. That was clever of him. The blood did not show so badly against the red cloth. The little princess had been barefoot, still dressed in her dressing gown, and the boy... Ned could not let that happen again. The realm could not withstand a second mad king, another dance of blood and vengeance. He must find a way to save the children. Robert could be merciful. Sir Barristan was scarcely the only man he'd pardoned. Grand Maester Pycelle, Varys the Spider, Lord Balon Greyjoy, each had been counted as an enemy to Robert once, and each had been welcomed into friendship and allowed to retain honours and office for a pledge of fealty. So long as a man was brave and honest, Robert would treat him with all the honour and respect due a valiant enemy. This was something else. Poison in the dark, a knife thrust to the soul. This he would never forgive, no more than he'd forgiven Rhaegar. He will kill them all, Ned realized. And yet he knew he could not keep silent. He had a duty to Robert, to the realm, to the shade of John Arryn, and to Bran, who surely must have stumbled on some part of the truth. Why else would they have tried to slay him? Late that afternoon he summoned Tumard, the portly guardsman with the ginger-coloured whiskers his children called Fat Tom. With Jory dead and Ellen gone, Fat Tom had command of his household guard. The thought filled Ned with vague disquiet. Tumard was a solid man, affable, loyal, tireless, capable in a limited way, but he was near 50, and even in his youth he'd never been energetic. Perhaps Ned should not have been so quick to send off half his guard, and all his best swords among them. "I shall require your help," Ned said when Tumard appeared, looking faintly apprehensive, as he always did when called before his lord. "Take me to the Godswood."
"Is that wise, Lord Eddard, with your leg and all?"
"Perhaps not, but necessary." Tumard summoned Varley. With one arm round each man's shoulders, Ned managed to descend the steep tower steps and hobble across the bailey. "I want the guard doubled," he told Fat Tom. "No one enters or leaves the Tower of the Hand without my leave." Tom blinked.
"My lord, with Olin and the others away, we're hard-pressed already."
"It'll only be a short while. Lengthen the watches."
"As you say, my lord."
Tom answered. "May I ask why?" "Best not," Ned answered crisply. The godswood was empty, as it always was here in the citadel of the southern gods. Ned's leg was screaming as they lowered him to the grass beside the heart tree. "Thank you." He drew a paper from his sleeve, sealed with the sigil of his house. "Kindly deliver this at once." Tamard looked at the name Ned had written on the paper and licked his lips anxiously. "My lord?" "Do as I bid you, Tom," Ned said. How long he waited in the quiet of the godswood he cared not say. It was peaceful here. The thick walls shut out the clamour of the castle, and he could hear birds singing, the murmur of crickets, leaves rustling in a gentle wind. The heart tree was an oak, brown and faceless, yet Ned Stark did still feel the presence of the gods. His leg did not seem to hurt so much. She came to him at sunset, as the clouds reddened above the walls and towers. She came alone, as he bid her. For once she was dressed simply, in leather boots and hunting greens. When she drew back the hood of her brown cloak, he saw the bruise where the king had struck her. The angry plum of colour had faded to yellow, and the swelling was brown, but there was no mistaking it for anything but what it was. "Why here?" Cersei Lannister asked as she stood over him. "So the gods can see." She sat beside him on the grass. Her every move was graceful. Her curling blonde hair moved in the wind, and her eyes were green as the leaves of summer. It had been a long time since Ned Stark had seen her beauty, but he saw it now. "I know the truth Jon Arryn died for," he told her. "Do you?" The Queen watched his face, wary as a cat. "Is that why you called me here, Lord Stark? To pose me riddles? Or is it your intent to seize me as your wife sees my brother?" "If you truly believe that, you would never have come." He touched her cheek gently. "Has he done this before?" "Once or twice." She shied away from his hand. "Never on the face before. Jaime would have killed him, even if it meant his own life." Cersei looked at him defiantly. "My brother is worth 100 of your friend." "Your brother?" Ned said. "Or your lover?" "Both." She did not flinch from the truth. "Since we were children together. And why not? The Targaryens wed brother to sister for 300 years to keep the bloodlines pure. And Jaime and I are more than brother and sister. We are one person in two bodies. We shared a womb together. He came into this world holding my foot, our old maester said. When he is in me, I feel whole." The ghost of a smile flitted over her lips. "My son Bran." To her credit, Cersei did not look away. "He saw us. You love your children, do you not?" Robert had asked him the very same question the morning of the melee. He gave the same answer. "With all my heart." "No less do I love mine." Ned thought, if it came to that, the life of some child I did not know, against Robb and Sansa, and Arya, and Bran and Rickon, what would I do? Even more so, what would Catelyn do, if it were Jon's life, against the children of her body? He did not know. He prayed he never would. "All three are Jaime's." "All three are Jaime's," he said. It was not a question. "Thank the gods." "The seed is strong," Jon Arryn had cried out on his deathbed. And so it was. All those bastards, all with hair as black as night. Grand Maester Melian recorded the last mating between stag and lion some 90 years ago, when Tywin Lannister wed Gawain Baratheon, third son of the reigning lord. Their only issue, an unnamed boy described in Melian's tome as a large and lusty lad born with a full head of black hair, died in infancy. 30 years before that, a male Lannister had taken a Baratheon maid to wife. She had given him 3 daughters and a son, each black-haired. No matter how far Ned searched in the brittle yellow pages, always he found the gold yielding before the coal. "A dozen years," Ned said. "How is it you've had no children by the king?" She lifted her head, defiant. Your Robert got me with child once, she said, her voice thick with contempt. My brother found a woman to cleanse me. He never knew. If truth be told, I can scarcely bear for him to touch me, and I have not let him inside me for years. I know other ways to pleasure him, when he leaves his whores long enough to stagger up to my bedchamber. Whatever we do, the king is usually so drunk he's forgotten it all by the next morning. How could they all have been so blind? The truth was there in front of them all the time, written on the children's faces. Ned felt sick. I remember Robert as he was the day he took the throne, every inch a king, he said quietly. 1,000 other women might have loved him with all their hearts. What did he do to make you hate him so? Her eyes burned green fire in the dusk, like the lioness that was her sigil. The night of our wedding feast, the first time we shared a bed, he called me by your sister's name. He was on top of me, in me, stinking of wine, and he whispered, Lyanna. Ned thought of pale blue roses, and for a moment he wanted to weep. I don't know which of you I pity most. The Queen seemed amused by that. Save your pity for yourself, Lord Stark. I want none of it. You know what I must do. Must? She put her hand on his good leg, just above the knee. A true man does what he will, not what he must. Her fingers pressed lightly against his thigh, the gentlest of promises. The realm needs a strong hand. Joff will not come of age for years. No one wants war again, least of all me. Her hand touched his face, his hair. If friends can turn to enemies, enemies can become friends. Your wife is 1,000 leagues away, and my brother has fled. Be kind to me, Ned. I swear to you, you shall never regret it. Did you make the same offer to John Arryn? She slapped him. I shall wear that as a badge of honor, Ned said dryly. Honor, she spat. How dare you play the noble lord with me? What do you take me for? You've a bastard of your own, I've seen him. Who was the mother, I wonder? Some Dornish peasant you raped while her holdfast burned? A whore? Or was it the grieving sister, the Lady Ashera? She threw herself into the sea, I'm told. Why was that? For the brother you slew, or the child you stole? Tell me, my honourable Lord Eddard, how are you any different from Robert, or me, or Jaime? For a start, Ned said, I do not kill children. You would do well to listen, my lady. I shall say this only once. When the king returns from his hunt, I intend to lay the truth before him. You must be gone by then. You and your children, all 3, and not to Casterly Rock. If I were you, I would ship for the free cities, or even farther, for the Summer Isles or the port of Ibn, as far as the winds blow. Exile, she said. A bitter cup to drink from. A sweeter cup than your father served Rhaegar's children, Ned said, and kinder than you deserve. Your father and your brothers would do well to go with you. Lord Tywin's gold will buy you comfort and hired swords to keep you safe. You shall need them, I promise you. No matter where you flee, Robert's wrath will follow you to the back of beyond if need be. The Queen stood. And what of my wrath, Lord Stark? She said softly. She searched his face. You should have taken the realm for yourself. It was there for the taking. Jaime told me how you found him on the Iron Throne the day that King's Landing fell, and made him yield it up. That was your moment. All you needed to do was climb those steps and sit. Such a sad mistake. I have made more mistakes than you can possibly imagine, Ned said, but that was none of them. Oh, but it was, my lord, Cersei insisted. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground. She turned up her hood to hide her swollen face and left him there in the dark beneath the oak, amidst the quiet of the godswood, under a blue-black sky. The stars were coming out.
There it is.
Yep.
So now we know the truth.
The seed has found a way.
Yes. Somehow. All three.
Mm-hmm.
Roberts. Or not Roberts, I mean.
Not Roberts.
How could Robert not even tell?
Robert's too pissed all the time to even know.
Maybe.
He's too drunk to even...
Or maybe he does know, and that's why he drinks all the time.
He just doesn't care.
But why? Why does Eddard tell Cersei this? Why? I mean, I know why, because he doesn't want Robert to
Kill them.
kill all of them, but... Come on!
Like,
Wait till Robert's back and then tell Cersei and then go straight to Robert or something, you know?
Like,
you don't know when Robert's coming back.
right. Why are you telling her now? I get it. He's trying to do the honorable thing by being like, well, I'll give her a chance to leave and then she can get far enough ahead and... You're not using your logical brain. Literally, what have Varys and Littlefinger told you this entire time?
I know.
Don't trust anybody, don't tell people stuff. And what does he do?
Well, the last couple of chapters, it's been Varys has just been coming up to him, like nudging him, like, hey, you're doing the wrong thing here.
This is how you do it.
Yeah, but he hasn't been listening. I mean, he kind of did. He doesn't trust Littlefinger.
No.
He knows Varys and Pycelle are just going back to the Queen.
Well, he
he
knows Pycelle is going back to the Queen, but he doesn't... He just is like, Varys knows everything, but he doesn't do anything. But he doesn't trust him. He's just like, I don't know what his whole deal is, but...
Well, he might not think they go right back to the Queen, but he thinks that it will get back to the Queen.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Either way, it's... not a smart move. Not a smart move at all.
No. I love in this chapter, too, you get a little more insight into Cersei's life and her motivations. It's not a lot, but a little bit, you know. Find out, number one, he hits her pretty regularly. Number two, on their
Only
wedding.
a few other times, never on the face.
Oh, God. Well, that's what battered women say.
What?
That's what all battered women say.
Oh.
Victims of domestic violence will always be like, oh, it's not that bad. It's only happened a couple times, and only when he's really mad.
Or in this case, only when he's really drunk.
Right. That's how it's very typical, like, victim of domestic violence speak.
Mm-hmm.
Either
way, Martin does a good job of making you not know which side to choose here. It's like, Eddard and Robert, but Robert's a douche.
But Cersei is also having children with her twin brother.
Which, yes, is just...
Icky.
Yeah, that's...
Like the way she
it's
describes
not like
it. Oh.
abusive or mean, but it's just, ew.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It's just yucky.
And the way she describes it makes it even worse than this.
I know. It's like
we
we're
were
one
born
person.
holding... He was holding my foot as we were born.
Yep.
Since they were kids.
When he's inside me, it feels like we're one person.
Yeah, that's just...
That's some narcissistic...
That's disgusting.
Everything right there. Just...
Yeah, I never thought about that, but it's just straight up narcissism.
Yeah.
I can only be with myself.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh my god, are they Loki?
Yeah, except Loki is... It's not as gross.
No.
No. They're not technically related. They're
No.
just the same person.
They're literally the same person,
just
from
different dimensions. Which
Yep.
is
so weird.
Yeah, that would be... I don't know what sort of genetic defects a child would have in that circumstance, but I guess once we learn to travel between realms and universes, that'll be
Someone will do
discovered. Either way, we can travel between universes here. So,
it. And Cersei even tells Ned, "You make all the mistakes. You're making all the mistakes, Ned. And she says that she delivers the line, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Mhm.
There is no middle ground.
And I think Cersei has a little respect for Ned, though, because she did say that he would have made a better king. He could have taken the throne.
Also, wasn't it kind of interesting where she like puts her hand on his thigh and she's like, "Be nice to me, and I'll be nice to you. Your wife is a very long way, Ned."
Yeah, that was... Could be taken one of two ways.
Martin called it the gentlest of promises.
Mhm.
Like, she's suggesting a little bit of something there, I think. Oh my god, Oda!
I feel like it could have been taken one of two ways. Either that or, as a threat, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You're very far away from home. Be nice to me. Otherwise...
I don't know, though, because she was like, "Your wife is away, and my brother is gone. Be nice to me."
Yeah, that would be great if Robert came back and caught them. That was probably her plan.
Yeah.
Like, instead of him catching her with Jaime, catch him with Eddard, and then Eddard can get the wrath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, just on a side note with Pycelle and Eddard's leg, I don't think if it's in pain, it's a good thing. Doesn't mean it's healing. It usually means that it's healing wrong if it's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
You got some scar tissue built up in there. The bone isn't mending properly.
Yeah, it's like it's like not healing straight or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the itching thing is probably good.
Yeah, itching thing, yeah. That. If you've ever had like a cut or something, once it scabs or
and starts itching, yeah.
But I think it shows just maybe Pycelle doesn't know
everything about healing.
Yeah,
anything.
He's only there because he kisses Cersei's butt.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, because he was the Mad King's Grand Maester. You would think he would have been booted out the door quite a while ago.
Yeah.
At least after Jon Arryn died. Robert would have been like, "What the hell, dude? You suck. You killed my mentor by negligence."
But see, I think... Well, maybe, yeah.
I mean, killed in that, like, he let him die. Not that he, like, killed him. I mean, like, he couldn't save him. I feel like Robert would be like, "Get out. You're done." And, Cersei was like, No. We need Pycelle. He's a good man.
I don't have time to manipulate a new maester.
This took me a long time. I mean, I'm sure Papa Lannister's gold helped manipulate, too. But...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Pycelle has a few extra gold links in those chains.
Yeah.
But, okay, so who's next?
We get to go across the narrow sea and visit Dany.
Nice. I was worried you were going to say another Stark. No offense to the Starks, but I feel like we've been bunny hopping back and forth between Eddard and another Stark for the past, 10 chapters.
It's been a hot minute.
No, we had a Tyrion in there.
We did have
Tyrion was thrown in there.
Tyrion chapter mixed in with Catelyn, Eddard, Sansa, Arya, Catelyn, Eddard, Catelyn, Eddard. Oh, but we get to visit Dany, which is a nice change of pace because we haven't visited.
And maybe enough time has passed, she'll have her baby.
Yeah, maybe she'll have her baby.
How pregnant is she now? Because last time
she was decently pregnant. It was at least like a few months. Her belly was showing and stuff. So I'd imagine she was probably about at least halfway there.
Jeez, riding a horse while pregnant must be awful.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good time. Ooh. But then we get to go hang right back out with Eddard after. Just so you know.
Well, I kind of forgot how the next Eddard chapter plays out, so I want to actually know.
I know, they leave you right on the edge.
I think I know
Eddard.
what happens, but...
I think I do too. But they leave you right on the edge.
If it is the one I'm thinking. the next chapter is going to be a super cliffhanger.
Yeah, right. I know. I know what happens in the next Danny chapter. It's a pretty good one.
I think I know that one too.
Yeah.
But
I forget how beautiful Cersei is. I don't know why. But every time like Martin describes how beautiful she is, I always forget that. I don't know who did it. Like her
Because
perfect teeth and her smoldering green eyes and her lovely blonde hair. I'm always like, I always forget that. I don't know why.
it's because her shitty personality. That's why.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I also love that her justification for sleeping with Jaime as well. The Targaryens did it. No one had a problem with it.
Yeah, I know.
Look what happened to them.
You got the Mad King. Oh, wait.
Anyway. So yeah, we'll go. Speaking of Targaryens, we'll go hang out with Dany next time and see if she has her bebe.
Yeah. And see how her brother feels about that.
Oh yeah. Let's see what Viserys is up to. It's always fun to see how Viserys is doing with the Dothraki.
Robert's gonna be like, "What are you doing having kids with your brother, Viserys? What are you doing having kids without your brother?"